Welcome to the ArmaniTalks show, episode 17. In the show, I am covering a bunch of different soft skills ranging from public speaking, storytelling, emotional intelligence, social skills, creativity, and the coveted level up mentality. These are the 6 core soft skills that you need to learn in order to boost your confidence. So if you're excited to learn about these topics, be sure to hit that subscribe button right on below, hit that bell notification. A new ArmaniTalks episode goes out the first day of every month. And if you're listening from podcast, by the way, you could always later on watch me on YouTube. But if you're listening on podcast, just go ahead, listen on podcast. If you're listening on Twitter, go ahead, listen on Twitter. And if you guys are one of these people that are sharing these episodes on WhatsApp, which, by the way, I found out that was a thing, where people will get some of my YouTube episodes and they'll share it on WhatsApp. I never knew this was a thing until I started to dive deeper into my analytics, and I wondered why. And then I was taken back into memory lane from a couple of years back. This was around 2018, and there was this one gentleman who wished me happy birthday. Soon as he wished me happy birthday, I quote retweeted his tweet and I posted it to my audience and I said, "Victor, thank you very much for wishing me." And now my audience knew that it was my birthday. So different people from all around the planet started to wish the ArmaniTalks account happy birthday. And a couple of people dived into my DMs. One of the people that dived into my DMs was, I think, it could have been a man, but this person was claiming to be a lady. More specifically, a 45-year-old lady. She didn't have a face on her Twitter handle. It was one of those blurred out accounts. And she said, "Mr. ArmaniTalks, I want to say that within the past couple of months of following your account, me and my friends, we always exchange your tweets in a group message that we have. And we discuss what it meant." I thought, why would you discuss what it meant? I thought I was pretty clear in what it meant when I wrote the tweet. I thought that. I didn't say that. And the lady continues to say, so you gave me and my other girlfriends a lot of discussion topics. Thank you and happy birthday. And that's when I started to think, a lot of individuals, one way that they will build rapport is that they will tag you in content and then they will see what you think about it. What do you think about this? Tell me about it. And be specific, right? These are known as thought experiments. With philosophers, they do these thought experiments all the time to question the nature of reality. But nowadays, I'm starting to realize that a unique way in order to build social skills is to do thought experiments with your friends. Ask them, "Hey, I've known you for over 10 years. Let's say you know everything you know right now. What would you change in your freshman year in college?" And a lot of the times when you ask questions like this, it's so probing that it makes someone more introspective in nature. That's where content comes in, because you may not always have the right questions to ask. If someone tells you, "Hey, you have to design 10 unique questions to ask me," you may be stuck. But you know what you can do? You could always tag other people in content. Tag them in content that resonated with you. How did it make you feel? Why did it make you feel a certain type of way? And then ask your friend, "Hey, are you feeling the same way? No? How are you feeling?" And these provide so many opportunities in order to talk about different topics. Because one thing that I've noticed, especially with social skills, is that eventually you're going to hit a wall. It happens. Did you ever notice whenever you're really familiar with someone, you stop paying attention to them as much versus someone that you just met? Whenever you just met someone for the first time, they're saying something to you and it's music to your ears because it's new stuff. But the person that you've known for a long time, you're like, they're just about to go into the same script again. Even if they're about to say something unique, we just don't prioritize their words that much because we see them all the time. These are one of those situations where if you notice the conversation getting stale, you want to begin tagging them in content. And you want to ask them, what do you think? A lot of the times you will be surprised because these people, they seem all cool from the very beginning. But then when you start pressing them a little bit more, you'll see that they're somewhat weird. And it may not be weird directly with you right now, but in the future, it can be something that is a deal breaker for you. So these are one of the things that I've noticed that people can do, especially if you're shy or socially awkward. If you're shy or socially awkward, I always say that it's the effort that matters. Because a lot of folks cannot tell that you're shy. I've been shy for plenty of years of my life. I mean, I would say from kindergarten all the way up until senior year in high school, I was shy. And for the longest time, I thought people could always tell that I was shy. And when I would tell them, after I got comfortable with them, hey, did you know that I was shy? They're like, you? No way. Yeah, I was really shy in the initial stages, but I got comfortable with you, so you got to see my authentic side. They're like, dude, even when we didn't know each other like that, I never thought you were shy. And I wondered why. The reason now that I can tell is because I always made it the priority to ask people questions back. You always have to do that. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're really attractive, really shy, really quiet, nervous, socially anxious. Don't use that as an excuse. Immediately ask a question back. And it's even better if you're one of these shy people that are thinkers. Because shy people get this treatment as though they don't notice anything. They get the wallflower treatment a lot. And people are like, oh, well, these people don't feel, they don't think, they're just there. They're an ornament. Where a lot of shy people, they are inquisitive in nature. They're noticing everything. And a lot of these people, if you ask them, they're artists. A lot of individuals in Toastmasters, some of the best public speakers out there, they're shy in their social life. The reason that this works well is because the shy person is capable of absorbing a lot of information. And if they process that information, they're capable of turning it into something unique. So if you're a shy person that's inquisitive in nature, one thing that you should practice is asking artistic questions. Questions that make people think, that's a good question. You want to at least get that once out of, let's say you guys have been interacting 10 times. You want at least one time when the person says, wow, that was such a great question. No one's ever asked me that. And shy people are capable of asking that. You just don't want to be lazy. I noticed that a lot of people that are shy, they eventually begin to make excuses for themselves. They'll say stuff like, well, yeah, I mean, I would have asked, but I get nervous around people. So, work on it. The quickest way to work on it is through public speaking, but there's always different methods of working on it. And I would say the easiest path, hands down, is just speaking up a little bit more in each social interaction. Others cannot tell that you're shy until you think that they can tell. If you think that they can tell that you're shy, then what happens is your body language starts to act very weird. You start to make your body a lot smaller and you don't have that openness. I believe whenever you're shy, another hack, other than just speaking up a little bit more in every interaction, you don't have to tell a long-winded story. Just ask a little bit more questions and work your way up. Another hack is to work on your body before you work on your words. So let's say you're a shy person and you're sitting like this. Sitting like this is automatically going to make you more shy because this is closed off body language. You're making yourself small and your brain is going to feel a certain type of way, a negative way. But if you make yourself big, shoulders out, palms open, you're looking, right? Or you're squinting and looking at whoever dares to look at you. Suddenly, there's this boldness that you feel. And when you feel bold, it's easier to get your words out there. You forget for a moment that you are shy, and now you're creating the conversation. You've overcome the initial friction, and it's way easier to just keep conversing with the other person. So an underrated way in order to overcome shyness is to work on your body language before you work on your words. Others cannot tell that you're shy. I really wished someone told me this a couple of years back when I thought everyone could tell. And the reason I thought everyone could tell is because the one person that can tell, they're the most vocal. They'll start saying like, wait a minute, are you shy? Like, yeah, you're shy. And then they start to bring it up a lot to other people. And I noticed something. A lot of the shy people will notice the other person is shy. And to take away the spotlight from them, they start to point out the flaw in the other shy person. Like one of the first ever guys that noticed I was shy was this guy named Jason. He was this Guatemalan kid who barely ever talked in our class, right? He was in the soccer team. Whenever he was playing soccer, he was very conversative. But in our classes, he never said anything. Me and him eventually built a bond, and I finally understood what he sounded like. No disrespect or anything, but he looked like a straight up Guatemalan guy that came from Guatemala. So I wasn't even sure if he could speak English, right? I thought he had a very thick accent. So the first time I spoke to him, and he's speaking better English than me, I said, wow, man, I didn't know you could speak that well. And he was like, well, I didn't know you could speak that well either. And as we got comfortable with each other, eventually he was able to notice that I was shy with others. And then he would keep bringing it up. Like, Arman's the shy one, right? I'm thinking in the back of my mind, you're shy too, my dude. Why do you keep labeling me that when you should be labeling yourself that? So some of the first people to point out your shyness is often going to be other shy people, which is weird. At least it makes you aware. And once you're aware, just understand that it's a few people that notice. And unless you treat these few people like the many, and you think everyone's noticing, then people really can't tell. And eventually you just got to keep working on it. The core philosophy of the level up mentality, which is currently available on Amazon, Audible, Gumroad, the core philosophy of the level up mentality is that everything is a muscle that can be worked out. It doesn't really matter who you are. You should be able to identify anything that you want. And if your body is capable of it, now it's a game of the mind. Once it becomes a game of the mind, it becomes a game of desire. How much do you desire it will fuel the mind to activate the body. And that's how a lot of this stuff works. See, in the level up mentality, one unique thing that I heard from it was a lot of folks were like, I've been learning so many different information throughout my life, but I feel like the level of mentality, the simple reason that you bring up the nervous system so much allowed me to get that information and turn it into a tangible reality. And one example is just chronicling your journey. When you chronicle your journey, what happens is you are forcefully distinguishing the signal from the noise. And when you're distinguishing, this is the signal and this is just a bunch of junk, you're capable of making clear decisions. When you're capable of making clear decisions, it's way easier to have intent behind your moves. Whenever someone says, come on, bro, show some intent, it's such a vague command. It doesn't make any sense. What do you mean by show intent? What I mean is that you need to have information behind your moves. When you know why you're doing what you're doing, then there's intent. When you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, there's a lot of these grunt-like motions that's being done, right? Especially if you're a manager and you're telling this guy, like, come on, man, show some desire, do these. And they're doing certain reports or something, and you tell them to show desire. They don't really know why they're doing it in the first place. They're going to look very silly doing this task. They're going to, in a very aggressive way, just type down things, which is what we don't want. We want to say, look, follow me real quick. These reports that you're doing, don't think you're just doing busy work. You're doing reports that me and the entire team right here, we're going to discuss it. And we're going to discuss it in so much depth that your reports, it's going to influence what we do in the future with this company. Your reports are, in some ways, deciding the fate of this company. So show some intent. Now this guy is going to say, oh, whoa, I didn't know that you guys were actually using this. I thought these reports were going into the abyss. But you guys are talking about it? So now this guy becomes way more mindful because you gave information on why they are doing what they are doing. This is an art, and this is why teachers, especially great teachers, are powerful. But with all due respect, though, you cannot pay me money to be a teacher. I have this podcast called Unapologetic Truths, which I co-host with Life Math Money. You guys should definitely subscribe to the channel. Just type in Unapologetic Truths, ArmaniTalks, Life Math Money. Hit subscribe, watch a bunch of the episodes. We have around 57 episodes right now. These talks go from 2 hours to 5 hours. So these are in depth, and we talk about so many different topics. One of the topics we talked about was, what would your dream job be if you were not a businessman? And I would say for me, it was just an engineer, right? And my buddy, Life Math Money, said he would want to be a teacher. And I thought, a teacher is the last thing I would ever want to be. And the way that he's described it made a lot of sense, because he's not talking about the teachers in the public school system that we see today. He's talking about building your own dojo-like area where you teach the younger generation needed skill sets of the future, such as managing your money, such as talking to people, such as doing a firm handshake. That kind of stuff I vibe with. What I don't vibe with is the public school system. I think that is one of the nastiest places to be. Just looking back in hindsight, I was thinking about it. I was in the IB program growing up, and the IB program it stands for International Baccalaureate, something of those sorts. And it's an accelerated program. So the people that go into the IB program are known as the smart kids. Then there's another section called AP classes. Then there's another section called regular classes. Now, for me, I went to Forest Hill High School, where the IB program was not that big. It was rather new. So initially, in my freshman year, there were roughly 60 guys in the IB program. Each year, people started to get out of the IB program, and they would either go into AP, and some actually went into regular. The thing with the IB program back then was, in my senior year, I was one of the final 12 people in my program, and I hated it so much because I was literally the dumbest kid in that class. You could mathematically prove it with the GPAs, the test scores, all of that. And I wasn't participating much in the class discussions. So it was common sense that I was the dumbest kid in that class. And you know what it does for your self-confidence when you are the dumbest kid in a class and it can be mathematically proven? It really hurts your feelings, man. And it hurt my feelings a lot. And I would constantly be reminded of how dumb I was. My best friend in the IB program, his name was Alejandro, and he was so freaking smart. I mean, we would study together. He would tutor me. I would at times be able to tutor him. Then he'd say, nah, man, I mean, you're doing it wrong. I wanted you to feel smart, so I wanted you to get a practice of tutoring me, but no, you're doing it all wrong. Let me teach you. We're over here interacting. We're talking about the same concepts. He would get a 98 on his exams. I would get 73. So this does really harm to your confidence, right? And I thought about it. Why didn't I just get out of the IB program and do the AP program, right? I could have still had a social life then. And if I'm in the AP program, then I could be a lot smarter. But here's what I noticed. There's a few things I noticed during this moment of my life. There was a time when I got a level 2 on the reading section of the FCAT. And the FCAT is known as Florida Comprehension Assessment Test. Getting a 2 is bad. The highest you could get is a 5. 2 is considered a fail. And what happened was, it was so bad that I actually had to take intensive reading with the regular kids. So this is when I saw what the public school system is really like. In the IB program, I was shielded because I was surrounded by a bunch of smart kids. But now I have to take this class called intensive reading. I kid you not. These people are nasty. They smell like weed. Their pants are down to their butt crack. They talk in a way where you can't understand a word that they're saying. And I'm thinking, man, for the entire year, I have to take this class with them. I went in there with a very negative attitude, right? And eventually what happened was my teacher, her name was Miss Valencia, she would read this book on a Latin king who was talking about his journey there. And for some reason, I was captivated by the book. Up until high school, I had never been captivated by anything. I hated learning. But when Miss Valencia would read the Latin king's book, I was all ears. As a matter of fact, I was sitting in the front row of the class, all ears. And afterwards, what happened was Miss Valencia would ask questions about what she just read, and my hand just kept shooting up. And only my hand kept shooting up. Everyone else in the class, they were like, oh, well, I don't know the answer. I thought, how do you not know the answer? We just heard everything. Didn't you guys pay attention? This is such a captivating story. And they didn't pay attention. And Miss Valencia said, man, look at Armani. He's over here paying attention. Guys, you gotta be more focused like Armani. He has drive. Up until that point, I had never heard that. This is junior year in high school. I never knew that. For the longest time, I had been the dumbest kid in IB. So now suddenly I'm the smartest kid in a class, and I'm thinking, yeah, this is good. I'm starting to have some confidence. Eventually what happens is that the other regular kids start to come to me and they ask, yo, Armani, man, you know your stuff very well. Dang, you're one of those IB kids, huh? I always hear about the IB kids being smart, but now I'm seeing it in action. I don't even know what to say. Wait, if you think I'm smart, wait till you see a guy like Alejandro. These guys are really calling me smart. And it hit my heart. I felt so good. And then they asked me, can you please help me out with this assignment? I helped them out. Someone else came to me, can you please help me out, Armani, since you're so smart? And these guys are trying to woo me over. And Miss Valencia sees what's going on. So one day she pulls me to the side and says, you have a lot of potential. I don't know how you ended up in this class, but you have a lot of potential. Just keep maximizing on it. It gave me so much of a confidence boost that once that year was done and I returned back into English with the other IB kids, I didn't view myself as the dumbest kid. I viewed myself as a person who could be the smartest kid because I was the smartest kid for a moment in time. And later on, I just started to move with more confidence my senior year. Also, I gained a lot of muscle. I went from being the skinny kid to this muscular kid. But I saw that if you can believe something, and it's not something silly, right? It's not, well, come on, man, you could believe it and achieve it sort of stuff. I'm talking about you actually have evidence, just a microcosm of an evidence. You don't need something very big, but just a little sprinkle. And you see it, and you say, yes, I'm not going to just wave this sprinkle to the side. I'm going to actually put more faith in this sprinkle. What happens is that that sprinkle grows in power, and your confidence grows in power too. Each student that I teach in intensive reading fueled my fire. And by the time that I came into the IB program, I said, none of y'all could stop me. Even though I wasn't the smartest kid still, I didn't get my IB diploma. It's not as though this story just ends in a good way. I didn't get the IB diploma, okay? But it taught me a bunch of stuff. Looking back at it, I'm glad that I was in the IB program because in some ways it shielded me from the regular kids. Where when I was taking intensive reading, I still had other classes. In high school in the US, you have 7 classes. So only one of them was intensive reading. The rest were still with the IB kids. If all 7 classes were with the regular kids, I'm sure my life would be drastically different right now. Because no disrespect at all, the public school program attracts some of the most mischievous kids whose main purpose is to get in trouble. That is what they think the narrative of school is. They look for unique ways to get into detention. They look for unique ways to fail. They look for unique ways to cause drama to the teachers. Since I was in the IB program, I was shielded from a lot of that. I believe that it's better to be the dumbest kid in a room full of IB kids rather than be the smartest kid in a room full of animals, with all due respect. And it's not as though that they were animals, but they had these animal-like tendencies, especially in the context of the school atmosphere, where if they sensed fear in you, they would pounce. There was this one time I was taking the FCAT exam. The guy to my right was sleeping. When you take the FCAT exam, there is no IB, AP, all of that. All of us, we get broken down into different classrooms, and we all have to go into different classrooms. So this is when the IB kids, they see, wait, this is what school is really like? So I'm over here, an IB kid, sitting next to a bunch of these regular kids. The guy right next to me is sleeping. The other guy, he's not even trying. He's over here actively trying to fail this exam. And there's 3 goons right behind me that are picking on me. One guy keeps hitting me on the head really hard with a pencil. I turn around and these guys are acting as though, who is it? They're trying to toy with me. And if I snitch on them, I know immediately once I leave FCAT, these guys are going to jump me. So I'm basically trying to take this exam and these guys are over here hitting me on the head. And by the way, that's how I ended up getting a level 2 on the reading section of FCAT, which led me to intensive reading. So the year prior, these guys were just smacking me on the head nonstop with a pencil. I'm feeling pain. And these guys are big. I'm this really little guy. And I'm just trying to write, read, concentrate, feel pain. And I thought, this is such an unfair position to be in right now. These guys were picking on me. But I couldn't do anything about it. Looking back in hindsight, I'm glad I was in the IB program. And the main lesson that I extracted from that is that you want to be very aware of your surroundings. When you're over here chilling with people that are lowlives for far too long, you may feel good. You may feel very smart. You may feel very intelligent. They may make you feel like the man, whatever. It's just not worth it. Every now and then, when I was done with my fraternity, and by done, I mean I'm an alumni now. I'm not in undergrad. I'm an alumni, and I carry myself like an alumni. If the younger brothers throw events, I'm gonna go show some face for alumni events. But if the younger brothers are saying, "Hey, Armani, we're throwing a house party," I'm not gonna go to that. I'm a 32-year-old man. What the heck am I going to do in a house party with a bunch of 18 to 21-year-olds? That time has passed. Every now and then, though, I would see certain brothers that would be in their 30s going to these house parties because they feel like the man. They know a bunch of stuff now that they didn't know back then. So they're over here capable of bagging any girl that they want that's 21 years old. Don't do that, man. That's weird. Find a different crew to hang out with. The crew that you hang out with, they should be evolving. And the thing with evolution is that it happens different ways for different people. With self-improvement, it's very easy to become judgmental and put down others a lot. It's very easy to say, I'm improving in the physical part of my life. I mean, look at how much muscle I've gained in the last 3 months. But look at Billy, my best friend. He still eats Cheetos. His gut is still getting bigger. He doesn't take any effort in the gym. He's not improving. We make that mistake a lot because just because we're improving in the lens of the physique, we assume that everyone else should as well. Be very wary of that, especially when you're starting self-improvement, because self-improvement, doing too much of it, can turn you judgmental. So we're over here analyzing Billy only through the lens of the body, and we see that he is failing spectacularly. But if we change our perspective, we can see that even though Billy is not the best in terms of physique, he has a successful business. He's profitable. He provides for himself with his business. How many people can do something like that? Most businesses don't succeed after 5 years. He has been in the game for 8 years. So if you view him from the lens of business, suddenly Billy goes from being a failure into a success. And that's what we want to do. Whenever we're assessing our crew, we don't want to only view them from our lens. We want to view them from their lens as well. We want to ask probing questions such as, what are you trying to improve right now? And they'll tell you, or they may not know. A lot of the times, what they're gifted at, they may be completely unaware of. And this is when you can do a likability hack. The likability hack is to remind someone of their greatness. This is something that if you do it, people initially will not notice. But later on, they love you for it because you gave them confidence. The time that I do that is we have this guy within our friend circle who's very introverted. With his friends, he's filled with opinions. He'll talk a lot. With outsiders, he doesn't say that much. He becomes this wallflower of sorts. The unique thing with him is that he can dance. Not just regular dance. I mean, when he dances, you watch. He's that freaking good, and he's self-taught. Every now and then when we're going to these parties and stuff, I could tell from his eyes that he's not feeling confident because he's going to be surrounded with so many people. And I'll say, dude, you want to know something? I'm a little jealous of you. And he'll ask why. Because the way that you dance, it's so amazing that for me, dancing is a chore. That's not something that I get excited by. Where with you, I could tell you get excited by it. And he said, yes, I do get excited by it because I'm self-taught. Exactly. You're self-taught. You're confident in your moves. Don't be nervous by this party, man. As a matter of fact, you should steal the show. When people are dancing, you should be the person that's over here dancing too. And everyone will watch you. And he did that. There was this one dance a long time ago. It was like the jerk, right? You're a jerk. That song. There was a dance with that. And one time we went to this party and he was over here doing the jerk in such a beautiful way. And what happened was there was another guy who knew how to dance. His name was Junaid. So Junaid came and now he's over here challenging my buddy to a dance off. The entire party stops to watch what's going on. And they're just going back and forth, back and forth. And I'm already just proud of my buddy because this is requiring a lot of confidence. Whoever wins, in my eyes, my buddy won. Eventually what happens is that my buddy busts out one of these spinning moves, looking like Booker T or something, and he steals the show. And Junaid says, all right, man, I can't top that. And he walks away. That night, my buddy was the star of the show, and I kept hammering it home. Dude, no one can dance like you. To this day, he's my friend. This was from 12 to 14 years ago. He's still my friend to this day. And I say, you're going to be at my wedding and you're going to be doing that same thing that you were doing in that party long time ago. Because you, my dude, you're gifted at dancing. So whenever you see someone that is gifted at something and they're completely unaware of it, you got to realize they're unaware of it because this is something that they coexist with. This is just a part of their reality. If you're, let's say, a public speaker and that's your career, and you're talking to someone that is terrified of public speaking, they have no clue how you speak with so much grace in front of 350 people, how you don't look at your phone the entire time and avoid eye contact with the audience. You actually walk around the stage. They think that this is amazing. Well, for you, this is normal. I mean, this is my career, dude. So, of course, if this guy can help you appreciate how important your skill set is, this isn't normal, this is unique, then what will happen is that you will like this person more for it. A lot of people hate giving compliments, and a lot of people hate reminding others of their greatness because they question their own greatness. I could have been to my friend who was a great dancer. Okay, if I'm over here hyping up his dance moves, what does that say about me? What am I gifted in? I could have easily done that, but I didn't because he was gifted. Okay, he was gifted. And we need to be able to do that more. It's such an easy way to build charisma. In my book, The Charisma King, which you could definitely check out on ArmaniTalks.com, hit shop, grab your copy today. It's a big red book with a crown on it. In the Charisma King, I talk about different ways in order to build charisma. And I also talk about different ways to kill charisma. Before I talk about how to be a charismatic person, I talk about how not to be a charismatic person, which I think is more important. Learning what not to do with social skills is way more important than learning what to do. What you shouldn't do with social skills is try to make too many things about yourself. Where when we are nervous, and by the way, some of the cockiest people are the most nervous people. They really want to put on a show for that reason because they feel unsure of themselves and they think, okay, well, if I don't put on a show and these guys don't like me, then I am proven to be a failure, which is the worst strategy that you want to do with social skills. You want to make your presence known without trying to hog the spotlight too much. You want to make your presence known because if you're one of these guys that's just standing there in a social interaction, you're never contributing or even trying, then people forget your presence really quick. To make your presence known, crack some jokes, tell some stories, introduce questions that the group can converse about. The problem is when people try to take the spotlight too much. This is a concept known as spotlight jacking, which I bring up in my book, The Charisma King. Spotlight jacking is when you keep taking the spotlight from someone, but you never give it back. You always got to give back the spotlight once you have taken it from someone. Otherwise, they remember it. And the easiest way to give the spotlight back is to just say, oh, my bad, you were saying? I'm sorry, I cut you off. What were you saying again? Something along those lines. And it shows a lot of awareness when you are aware that you cut someone off. Because a lot of interactions, the people are cutting others off, but they have no clue that they did it. And if you have no clue that you did it, who's going to tell you? People are afraid of confrontation nowadays. So you can't expect someone to tell you that you're cutting others off a little too much. This requires awareness. Whenever I spot people that cut others off a lot, and let's say I'm cool with them, I will try to bring it up. If I don't bring it up, then what happens is that they keep doing it and they're completely unaware. So sometimes I'll say, hey, my dude, let me finish real quick, then you could contribute. Saying something like that just alerts them of, oh, dang, this is a problem on my end. And then they recalibrate their behavior. You need to have rapport with people before you do something like this. Because if I don't have rapport with them, what will happen is they'll probably say, whatever, man, just speak up louder. I mean, I'm just talking the pace that I already am. You got to pick and choose who you fight with. Critiquing people is a unique thing because at times you do need to critique others. One thing I noticed though is that you could get too comfortable critiquing someone. Let's say you are a non-confrontational person and there's an individual that consistently critiques you, not in a harmless way, but in a way where they just want the best for you. And in your mind, you're thinking, well, there's a lot of things you can improve too. For months, you just take their critiques in, but you don't say anything about them. Then a year passes on by, and you finally worked up enough confidence to critique them. They'll say, hey, whenever you're speaking, you should speak with your posture up so you sound more confident. You say something like, well, you should stop cutting people off so much. They'll be like, what? Yeah, you cut off people a lot. Maybe you should stop doing that. And then they don't get mad. They say, oh, okay, I actually had no clue I did that. All right, I'll do that. Now you, the person who struggled for months not confronting the person, realize that you could speak up for yourself. You could critique the other person without getting beat up. So another week goes on by, you guys are just having a regular conversation, and you say, hey, did you ever think about ironing your shirt? Other person says, what do you mean? I did iron my shirt. Oh, it looks very wrinkled to me. What? Okay. So the other person absorbs another criticism of yours, and you feel more empowered to criticize this person again. More weeks goes on by, and then you just keep critiquing this guy. Hey, man, too much salt in the food. Hey, man, did you think about losing weight? Hey, man, blah, blah, blah. And the difference between you two was that this guy possibly could have been critiquing you to show a power dominance. A lot of the times, that is not the case. They're critiquing you to simply sharpen your behaviors, where you, let's be real, you're critiquing them to feel power for yourself. I noticed this happen with parents and kids a lot, where the dad is so hard on the son, and the son for years takes it. And then once the son reaches a certain age, he begins criticizing his dad a lot. And the dad doesn't react in this harsh way. He absorbs the feedback. You could tell it's hurting the dad's feelings though. And the son doesn't know that he's hurting the dad's feelings. So the son continues to critique the dad. And eventually there's just this weird dynamic. And when the son becomes a father, he'll somewhat understand his father's perspective, where a lot of fathers, they bond with their son by showing tough love. The mom is going to be the soft one, but I'm going to be the tough love one. I'm not always going to be hugging you, son. I'm not always going to be kissing you on the forehead and say, I love you, son. I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to teach you about the real world. I'm going to teach you that life is hard. People are going to criticize you. If it's not me, it's going to be your boss. If it's not your boss, it's going to be the client that you're working with. How do you react? Are you someone that implodes because you have never been critiqued before? Or are you someone who can hold your own? You could filter between good opinions versus bad opinions, and you could absorb the good opinions without taking it to heart. Which one are you, son? So you start to understand this, and then after a while, hopefully you realize that it's not smart to critique your dad that much. Every now and then, criticisms are fine, but a lot of the other times, you just want them to have the last word, especially when they're older and let's say they've been providing for you and everything. There's no need to just keep going back and forth, back and forth. It's a complete waste of time. Where some people want to debate so much, and my question always is, who are you debating with? Does this person view this as a debate, or does this person view this as an argument? A discussion is when we're trying to find out what is right. A argument, it's when we're trying to find out who is right. And a debate is supposed to be more so towards a discussion where we're trying to see what is right. We're just explaining our points. A lot of the times, though, it just turns into an argument. I am right. Listen to me. And if you're over here explaining these logical points and you're thinking that you're making a difference, you're really not. They're not listening. So you got to weigh your time correctly. That's why if I'm going to debate you, which I will sometimes, every now and then, I will debate people. But my thing is, are you trying to debate? Or are you just trying to have this jousting competition? If you want to joust, I could joust too. But why? I got other stuff to do. In the level of mentality, another concept that I bring up is that taking the high road should happen on autopilot. When you have nothing going on for you, taking the high road is tough. But when you have a lot of stuff going on for you, taking the high road just as autopilot. Of course you're going to let someone have the last word. What are you going to do? Spend your entire Saturday just writing block paragraphs to a stranger that you've never met on Facebook? It's hard to take the high road, especially when you have nothing to do, because you stew on it a lot more. On Facebook, I remember before, there was this annoying guy named Roshan, who was such an annoying guy, because in high school, a lot of the Bengalis, we had a crew where we would go to Lake Ladle to play basketball. And Roshan was this know-it-all guy. He sucked in basketball, but he thought he was good. Since he wore glasses, he thought he was the coach, right? His name was Roshan Chowdhury, but he kept calling himself Roshan Rondo. Roshan Rondo based off of Rajon Rondo, who was an actual great point guard at the time. He's like, I'm Roshan Rondo. And he's over here just commanding people when we're playing basketball. Arman, get your man. I said, get your man. Ashraf, do this. Tom, do this. And he's over just barking commands. And we're like, shut up, dude. You don't even play good. You suck. And this guy, he was bold in person, and he was even bolder on Facebook, writing these harsh opinions. Whenever his friends would post a status, he would go in on them. And I knew this guy, so he wasn't a stranger. And we would just go back and forth, back and forth. I was actually going through Facebook recently, and I was going through, Facebook has been doing this thing where they recommend a lot of the posts you used to write. So I saw one of these posts that I wrote, and there were always 3 guys that would just go on the post and hate on it. Andrew, this kid named Hazard, and Roshan. And I just got mad one time, and I was just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And these 3 guys, they thought that, wait, we're all agreeing and we always disagree with Armani's post. So let's all gang up and let's all attack him together. So all 3 of these clowns are over here just rebutting me, and I'm holding my own for a long time. I'm a freshman in college. I don't have that much stuff going on for me. So we're going back and forth for so freaking long until eventually I look out and the day is done. I spent my entire day writing something, then just having my phone on me so I could keep scrolling down, down, down. Boom, got a notification. Andrew, you respond back. Boom, I wrote something back. Scroll down, down, down. Roshan responded back. I wrote something else. And I just kept doing that throughout the entire day. For what? I didn't get anything besides a headache. So taking the high road honestly happens when you have other stuff going on for yourself. I don't care how much you believe in a political opinion. If you're going back and forth with strangers about it, chances are you are wasting your time. You are not raising awareness like you think you are. Or if you're raising awareness and you're actually doing it, like let's say you're starting a fund and you're trying to get some money generated so you could send the money to the cause. A lot of the times I see, is there money involved? If you're not generating any money, and let's say you're just talking about it, there's eventually a ceiling that you reach where it's not really about the cause then. What often happens is that it's about your ego. I know this girl who has an opinion about every single social matter. And my thing is, do you really need to have an opinion on everything? Her argument is she's raising awareness, where I don't think that's the case. Just judging by her mannerisms, I think what's really happening is that she likes it when she's over here talking about a certain cause in a very hurtful sort of way. She likes it that other people message her on the DM saying, you keep doing you, all right? You're doing good in the world. I think she likes it that this gives her meaning. And it gives people meaning, sure. But when you just go behind every single cause, it just seems more like a grandstanding position versus you genuinely caring about the cause. I mean, do you really know about the cause too? I see this guy who's over here walking down the streets of DC, and he's just asking people to take a stance on these very nuanced topics. And the people are saying, I actually don't know much about it. And the guy says, oh, look at this coward. He's literally recording them and posting it on TikTok. And it's such a disrespectful thing to do. If the person doesn't know about it, why the heck do you want them to take a stand? On what? That's like, hypothetically, let's say someone works a full-time job. They have no experience with online business. And I ask them, are you a bigger fan of organic traffic or paid traffic? Take a stand. They're going to say, what the heck are those? Right? Organic. I heard organic bananas, but what do you mean by organic traffic? They don't know anything. So you don't want to output an opinion from them, because whatever output of an opinion that you get is something that you bullied them into, or they're literally just making things up. People don't think like that. When they are themselves are super into a cause, they think everyone else must magically be into this cause as well, completely forgetting that, I get it, it could be a very intense cause. However, the people that you're going up to, they don't know about it. And you may want to be raising awareness and all of that. And they have the right to say, with all due respect, my dude, my landlord just gave me an eviction notice. I need to generate $2,500. Otherwise, I don't have a roof over my head. I just got fired from my job. I'm struggling to find out something to do right now. So I don't give a damn about what cause you care about or what cause you want me to research more on. I got other pressing issues at the moment. And these people that say I have other pressing issues at the moment, they're vilified. Immediately, people say, well, what would you have done if there was a Holocaust going on? Would you have other pressing issues then? And they present these hypotheticals in a way where the people with pressing issues right now, they think, oh, dang, yeah, that's right. Okay, forget about my rent, forget about the money, landlord. Okay, give me some research material. And then they get weaseled into caring about these other causes, only for there to be another cause 3 weeks from now. And this guy doesn't have a place to live, and now he's living with his parents. So don't let people bully you into having an opinion about something you know nothing about. If, say, someone keeps bringing it up, and for some reason they're really bringing it up with you, hey, you of all people, you should actually take some curiosity in this because it affects you. And even if it doesn't directly affect you, it indirectly affects you. Here, just read up on this. And you read up on it and you say, yes, actually, this is something I can consider, then do it. But if it's something that has no connection to you, right? It's in a middle of nowhere area. You've never heard of it. You don't know anything about it. To educate yourself in order to create a rational opinion takes time. And the thing is, time is something that we don't have. Every single second, time is running out. So you need to really prioritize the stuff. This is where having money helps so much, where when you have money, it reduces so much problems. 2 months ago, I ended up having the best month I ever had with ArmaniTalks. Everything just came in alignment, right? I made so much money from my products, my classes, services, ad revenue, all of it. Like everything hit the bank account at once. And I was like, oh man, that felt good, right? That felt really good. And I just felt bold. And, you know, when I was first starting ArmaniTalks, I was barely making any money, man. I was making pennies. The first ever transaction that I got for ArmaniTalks was when I traded my time in for money. I had my boy, Static Sam, who, if you ever need a static website, hit up my boy, Static Sam. Static Sam created a website for me, ArmaniTalks.com, and he asked, hey, are you selling anything? I said, just put up a consulting page and just say $300 per hour. I'm thinking no one's going to pay for it. But then there was a gentleman who actually wanted the service. I thought that was just a filler page on this website, but he wanted the service, so I traded my time in for money. I made $300 within 1 hour. What happened later on was I one day wrote this blog called How to Overcome Social Anxiety. And within the blog, I posted an affiliate link for Social Intelligence by Daniel Goleman. I published the blog, a couple of days goes on by, and someone actually purchased the book, Social Intelligence. I made 33 cents. When my brother came home from work, I said, you won't believe what just happened. I made 33 cents. He looked at me like, okay, I mean, what are you going to do with 33 cents? And he had a point. What was I going to do with 33 cents? That wasn't the point that I was trying to bring home, though. The point that I was trying to bring home was I created content a couple of days ago. I left. I was sleeping, and someone brought this book. Why? A few things happened. Number one, they got value from the article to even use my recommendation. And two, I made money in my sleep. Those 33 cents to me were more important than me making $300 trading my time. Because that's when the concept became unlocked. Wait a minute. You could create content once, you could sell something in it, and over time, people will discover the content in different ways on the internet, and you will still make money from it. So that's what happened to me, and I felt relieved. I was making pennies for a long time. So that month, when I had a really good month, I felt so great, right? I just sat down, I kind of got emotional because it's been so much work for these past couple of years. But the way that the ArmaniTalks business is structured, you really need to understand it because it's a collection of businesses under the umbrella of ArmaniTalks. I don't consider myself just a YouTuber, just an author, just a podcaster. It's a collection that are meant to create synergistic effects with one another. And to build a complex system, it takes time. When you get money, though, on your side, no one can tell you what to do. Well, you want to get the money in an ethical sort of way. And that's where I'd actually like to leave the episode on this final topic. So many creators nowadays are getting demonetized. And when they get demonetized, they start to say that the Matrix is attacking them, and this is just not fair. One point that I want to drive home is that all of these issues are not new. You should actually take some time and see if you could find this interview that Chris Rock is having with Prince. And Chris Rock and Prince are talking about everything that's going on now, back then. And Chris Rock is saying, isn't it annoying when you're over here trying to tell a joke? Or you, Prince, when you're trying to express a song? This is a raw emotion that you genuinely feel. But then the FCC, they cancel you? Isn't that annoying? And Prince says, yeah, it is annoying. And Chris Rock says, here's how I view it nowadays. Before, I found it very annoying. But now I realize that there are certain guidelines that these public platforms have because of ad revenue. So what I try to do is I try to still express the same joke, but I alter my delivery. So it feels like a fun game because it seems like I'm being slippery. I'm still doing what I want to do, but I'm doing it in a way without getting demonetized and getting canceled. Because when you get demonetized and getting canceled, you could literally lose 80% of your income just like that. A lot of these YouTubers that build their platforms on very polarized topics, they're making a lot of money at one period. They're making $200,000 a month. Amazing. Their cost to run the business is, let's say, $80,000 a month. They're still making a profit. But guess what happens when YouTube demonetizes them? Suddenly, they're making $70,000 a month. And now they're losing $10,000 because they still have to pay $80,000 to run the business. It could happen just like that. So with communication skills, you want to focus on the bigger picture, not just yourself. And don't let people hype you up into getting yourself canceled. Or people love to do that. They'll say, come on, man, you could have taken a harder stance. No, you should talk more about this. No, talk more about it. All right, I liked it. They're talking from the sidelines. And once you get canceled, these people are nowhere to be found. They don't support you like that. Don't just get canceled for something stupid. Have a message, for sure, but deliver it in a way where it's very hard to pin you down and say, aha, we got him. Because these big companies are always trying to get someone. Because for them, these big companies, they thrive on ad revenue. And these people who are running the ads on these big companies, they have certain moral guidelines and principles that they follow. So if they see these media companies supporting a brand that does not match their guidelines, then they will say, hey, we're not going to market ourselves on your platform until this guy gets removed. And these media platforms, they don't have a spine like that. They'll do whatever the money tells them to do. So if you're over here saying, well, I'm standing for something, well, you could stand for something with $0 hitting your bank account. And when you do something like that, initially you feel very good. I took a stand. To only eventually feel bad because $0 are coming into your bank account. And now you're thinking, man, what am I going to do for money? Should I move back home with my parents? Should I get a job as an Uber driver? Should I work in fast food? That's when reality starts to kick in. So you got to be intelligent with your moves, man. This is not popular advice because people will say, come on, man, like you're bending the knee. But in this world, if you don't have money or if you have no stream of incomes and you have no clue on how to generate those stream of incomes, it's going to be tough. Understand this. These homeless people that walk the streets, they never woke up thinking that they were going to be homeless. But they are. Think about it. How did they end up there? Don't they have certain family members that they could room with? Not even family members? They can't even get a job? I mean, when did this happen? We always think that there was just this one moment that everything happened and they became homeless. But it's just a series of things that just kept adding up. And then boom, one day they have no place to stay. You don't want that sort of life for yourself, my friend. You want to be strategic with your moves. Have that message, but alter your delivery in a way where you're not getting yourself canceled for some silly reason. And afterwards, you're thinking, man, Armani was right. I should have just been a little bit more strategic. And the way that you could be strategic is by watching these episodes. I talk so much about communication skills. I break down topics that other channels do not break down, because the more that you learn your communication skills, you master it, the more that you will soon master life. Hit that subscribe, hit that like, and share this show on your social media of choice. Thank you very much, and I will catch you next time.